Following in the footsteps of the Hypervenom 1, the Hypervenom 2 has landed. It's made for the agile, deadly player, and after hours and hours of testing, dribble, shots, and a few misses, it's time for my review. So let's get down to the nitty-gritty. Apart from the fact that, well, obviously Nike really changed something and introduced a dynamic fit color compared to the Hypervenom 1, we've also seen a lot of other changes on the Hypervenom 2 with a brand new upper, Flywire being introduced to Hypervenom, and actually also Nike reworking their Soleplate a little bit, even though it doesn't look like it, but more on that later. My first reaction when I put on the Hypervenom was, okay, this is a brand new sensation. Obviously, the dynamic fit color makes a huge impact, but it was very different to the Hypervenom 1. On my feet, the Hypervenom 2 feels quite a lot different from the Hypervenom 1, mostly because of the upper material actually. The upper construction is a bit more stiff and rigid. It doesn't move as much with the foot as on the Hypervenom 1 with just the NikeSkin mesh. Also, Nike reintroduced these here flex grooves you can see for added flexibility to the upper and also a bit more friction. But it's not perfect, and still when you bend the foot, the upper has a bit more stiff movements than I'd like. So it is a bit different from the Hypervenom 1, to be honest. So Flywire is a really big change on the Hypervenom 2 because it takes the boot in a complete different direction than the Hypervenom 1. Basically, the concept is this little thread going from the base of the sole plate to the lace hole. So when you pull the laces tight, it really locks your foot on the plate to give you the most efficient energy return. And you actually feel that from the moment you put the boot on. The dynamic fit color is a pretty big introduction on the Hypervenom 2, but fortunately it's not just another mercurial or magista because it's actually bonded with the synthetic upper. Fortunately though, it's in a pretty seamless way, so you don't really feel the transition from the synthetic to the Flyknit material. But what Nike did with the Hypervenom 2 was that they offset the seam, so you don't really feel any pressure when you move your joints or your ankle, and that takes away the problems with blisters as well, which I'm a big fan of. This is how Nike should make it for the future. The general fit is affected by the stiffer upper. It is made over the same last. You can still see it is pretty wide, but because the upper doesn't stretch as much as on the Hypervenom 1, you might have a problem if you have a really wide foot. Size-wise, I'd say go true to size. I went with my usual size, UK 6, Europe 40, and it was dead on perfect. Performance has improved a lot in the Hypervenom 2 compared to the first generation because you do get a much more locked in fit that really eliminates the annoying thing about the Hypervenom 1 with sliding around in your boot because you didn't really have that lockdown. And when it comes to protection also, you do get a thicker upper to take away some of the sting when you get a tackle. The changes on the sole plate actually has a really huge impact on how the boot feels because although it might seem like not much has happened with the same stock configuration, Nike actually went in and softened up their nylon glass compound a bit to make it more flexible, and you really feel that when you move around because especially the forefoot is a lot more flexible and moves more naturally with your foot. Twisting and turning though in the Hypervenom 2 is pretty awesome because you get the conical studs that really help you move smoothly through the ground. So I don't really have any remarks there. It does a pretty good job with a good energy transfer thanks to the torsion bar here. And also Nike added this kind of grippy matte finish where you really feel the friction when you dribble. It's not as, surgically precise as the Hypervenom 1, but it is still pretty nice to dribble with. Striking the ball is actually one of my favorite areas in the Hypervenom 2 because of the performance mesh. So the mesh, when you hit the ball, really compresses and takes away a lot of the sting you get. The toe box is low and pointy, there's no issue in getting under the ball, and I'm all flax and balloons for this rule. Yes, the Hypervenom 2 to me is an improvement. It's actually a completely different boot. There's not much left of the Hypervenom 1. With that said, it is an improvement. Performance-wise, it's much better, keeping your foot on the plate, giving you a more flexible sole plate, and actually giving you a more seamless fit with the dynamic fit color. And the heel is sensational. It is gonna scare off some people with the more stiff upper. Give it a bit of time, get used to the more tight fit, and it's actually gonna perform really well. But yes, it is an improvement after all on the Hypervenom 1. So Nike spent their time well. Hypervenom 2 might be a different animal from the Hypervenom 1, but it's really responsive, has a great strike zone with a good free-feeling heel. Is it perfect? No. But what it wants to do, it does damn well. And if you like that strapped in, ready to rock feel, the Hypervenom 2 is right up there among the best. And isn't that all that matters?